Yo, welcome back everybody to a brand new video here on the second channel, and we got the rest of day 2 for EUIC up on Limitless now. And I said in my last video when I looked at the top 8 decks at EUIC, if y'all wanted to see me look at some of the other decks in day 2, and a lot of people said they wanted to see it, so I'm like, all right, let's do it. And now that they're live, I thought, hey, let's give a look, because honestly, this is pretty important to look at, because this is the start of our new format and what decks are going to be meta. I think it's important to look at the rest of the day 2 decks at the end of the day, and I'm excited to look at all of them. There is a lot. I mean, there's, I think, 158 people up in day 2, so I don't know how long this video is going to be. We're going to try to glance through most of the decks. I'm going to try to keep this not too long. I don't want this video to be like an hour long, because there's a lot of decks to look at, so we're going to try to go through them as quick as possible. But if y'all are going to want to enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like, and if you haven't subbed here yet to the second channel, click that subscribe button down below. Without further ado, let's take a look. So look at the top 8, and we can now look at the bottom. So we do see another Gudra deck almost getting top 8 here. This was, of course, a Gudra deck. Now, this one is interesting. It does play the one of Articuno for the paralysis in the deck. Also plays a heavier count of Melanie. I think the Aiden's list didn't have the 3 Melanie. It played 2. But I do like the Articuno. It's a really cool idea. Articuno's still kind of good right now. Paralysis is still great. You know, not many decks play Switch, and even if they do, they play like 1 or 2 at most. So Articuno is still a really good card that forces a lot out of your opponent in a single turn, I think. And I do like the ability to use Articuno in the Gudra deck. Really smart tech. Worked out pretty well. They were able to get 9th place at EUIC. Then we got Michael. I'm pretty sure Michael is in the same group as Alex. Yeah, it's basically the same list Alex played. So 2 Arc Duralists almost got top 8, getting 10th place here. Michael getting 10th place with Alex's Arc Duralist. We do see it Inteleon Urshifu deck almost getting top 8 too. That's a pretty big deal. I mean, Urshifu Inteleon is a deck that kind of was in and out of popularity, and a lot of people are like, it's not that great of a deck. It does have decent matchups. I mean, it can beat Mew, it can beat Lost Box, it can beat Miraidon, but other than that, its matchup spread is kind of awkward and kind of flimsy. But the crazy thing is, we do see that an Urshifu Inteleon deck almost got top 8, getting 11th place at EUIC. This list doesn't have anything too crazy apart from the one of Drapion V-Star, which is smart. Drapion V-Star does give you that free turn of paralysis, and that could make or break a scenario. So I do like this deck a lot. I think that it's a really smart idea to play the Drapion V-Star. It might fix a few matchups that are more awkward, especially tankier decks where this deck could struggle against. So I do like it. Now, I will say that this deck maybe has to adapt going forward. With Arceus Duraludon being popular, you might just start playing basic fighting now in the Urshifu Inteleon deck, just because of Duraludon, because, I mean, yeah, this deck doesn't really have a good answer to that. I mean, yeah, you can attack with Inteleon VMAX and, you know, play the water on it, which I guess is your only out, but I think you still maybe want to play Fighting Energy in the deck now. But this deck definitely is good. Again, if you hit the right matchups, this deck can still do really well in a tournament, because if you just hit Lost Box, it's good. And I mean, the Drapion might have been the big deciding factor as to why this deck actually got 11th place at EUIC. It's a deck that not a lot of people really would have respected going into EUIC. A lot of people are like, Urshifu Inteleon's cool, but overall, its meta spread is not as good as it could be. But hey, this person proved that nope, Urshifu Inteleon is a good deck, and getting 11th place is pretty interesting. So shout out to Tobias with the 11th place. We do see an Arceus Pikachu deck here. Braden Alpha getting 12th place with an Arc Pika deck. We do see it as the Arc Pikachu Espeon Vulpix deck. Once again, Vulpix proving that it is a pretty good attacker in the format. This deck is really cool. I've kind of built something similar to this IRL, except Milos, I think, played Aerodactyl too. But it does play the Leafy Camel Poncho in the deck, allowing you to prevent your stuff from being bossed. Poncho can be really good on Pikachu. So against Lost Box, if you go Espeon Pikachu double Poncho, Lost Box can't like rope the Pikachu and boss it. So they're basically forced to Sableye your Pikachu, but when there's an Espeon in play, they can't do that. So it really makes it awkward for the opponent. Leafy Camel Poncho is actually a really cool tech card in the Arceus Pikachu Espeon engine. And of course, we do see that Braden did play the Vulpix. Once again, Vulpix proving it was a good meta call for EUIC, as it worked pretty well against Gardevoir EX. Of course, we saw Alex winning with the Arctura Vulpix. So it is cool to see this Pikachu Arceus Vulpix deck do pretty well. I think the nice thing about Pikachu too is it actually has a pretty good matchup against Duraludon VMAX, or against Lugia, sorry, because you're able to use the Pikachu against Lugia. Lugia lists don't play that many attackers that can hit your Pikachu, apart from Lugia and Archeops, but both of those get KO'd by Pikachu in one hit, as most Lugia lists don't play They don't play Dunsparce right now. So the Pikachu is still good against Lugia. Even though you're not playing the Duraludon like Alex played, you still have the Pikachu, which is still pretty solid against Duraludon. So it is cool to see this get a pretty good placement in EUIC. Arc Pika proving that it's still a pretty good deck getting 12th. We see another Mew deck here. This one was actually Mew Aerodactyl. This is a deck that I actually still think is worth trying out, with Lugia still being a popular deck in the format. Literally, Lugia was the second most played deck at EUIC. There honestly is still room for an Aerodactyl to be a good inclusion in Mew. I still don't think it's terrible to play Aerodactyl in Mew. I still think it's legit a pretty solid card. Also, with the popularity of Drapion V, it doesn't hurt to play Aerodactyl. I think Aerodactyl can legit still be a decent card to play within the Mew deck, and of course we do see that, yeah, Aerodactyl can still be good. Again, with Lugia's popularity, it's not a bad thing to play an Aerodactyl, because you still auto-win Mew a lot of the time with the Aerodactyl. They can still build up Tyranitar with double turbo single strike, but Tyranitar ain't one-shot you, it ain't doing much damage anyways, and Mew can easily one KO it, so I think it is still worth playing Aerodactyl. It still gives you a better matchup against Lugia, and I think having that good Lugia matchup is still worth it, as again, Lugia is still like the second most played deck in EUIC, and with Lugia still doing really well, getting, I think there was, what, 2 Lugias in top 8, people are still going to play Lugia, and it's still worth it to play the Aerodactyl, in my opinion. Even in Arceus, like the Arc Pika deck we just looked at, I built something similar using Aerodactyl in the deck too, because I'm thinking Aerodactyl's still good in the format. We do see Pedro here getting 14th place with the Gardevoir Mewtwo deck. A lot of people are really hyped on this deck. It's doing really well in the online tourney scene leading up to EUIC, but didn't get top 8 as we saw Tord get top 8 with his Guardy list, but it was a straightforward Guardy list, not playing the Mewtwo. But of course, Pedro here proving that Mewtwo is still a really good card in the Gardevoir engine. Mewtwo is just an insane card, again, being able to do so much damage with it. With Final Burn, the spread is really good. Gives you a better time against Lost Box, so you're able to go Rock Sand and then Mewtwo spread damage and just kind of pray they don't got it like that. This deck is still kind of appetizing. Being able to use the Gardevoir to one-shot the Zacian Skysteel Stone is really good too. Having the Mewtwo as a late-game attacker is really good. So yeah, I'm still hoping this Mewtwo Guardy list is still something that people might look at, because they're still kind of insane. And there's still actually a lot of debate I've seen online between what build of Guardy's better. Obviously, with Tord almost winning EUIC with Gardevoir, we can still say that Tord may have the best Guardy list out there, but Gardevoir Mewtwo can still be something that people do play, and the Mewtwo does give you some attacking options, and I don't hate it. I definitely think Mewtwo is worth playing still in the format, and I definitely like Guardy Mewtwo quite a bit. So definitely a really, really cool deck, and Pedro got 14th place with it, getting top 16. We see a couple Lost Box here. Nicholas Moffat actually played a really... wait, was this Nicholas Moffat's list? Wait, what? That's Tyler Matthews, my bad. Nicholas Moffat actually played an interesting list. So we do see the Turbo Lost Box deck here. The highest placing Turbo list. A lot of people were hyping this up too, but again, Turbo Lost Box didn't get top 8. We saw Pedro getting top 8 with the Radiant Charizard build of Lost Box. But Turbo Lost Box is still good. The interesting about this list is actually the cross switchers in the deck playing a heavy kind of Gust engine. Actually, a really teched out list. We see double canceling Cologne too. Probably really good, of course, with that Radiant Greninja. But yeah, really, really strong deck. Still interesting to see that this Turbo Lost Box deck is still doing well. The only interesting about this list is it actually doesn't play the Lumineon V in it. No Lumineon in the deck at all. Actually just opting for more kind of techier cards like the Cross Switcher and the Canceling Cologne over playing something like a Lumineon, which a lot of the Turbo list did play the one of Lumineon. This list opting not play it. But we do see Nicholas Moffat getting top 16 with his Lost Box deck. This one is a little bit more interesting. We see a little bit of different attackers. The big one, I think, is going to be that Galarian Moltres. Now, Galarian Moltres is actually something that I've tried out in Lost Box before in the past, because I think it's honestly a pretty cool inclusion. One, it works really well with Clara. So, naturally, because Lost Box already has to play Clara now, having access to Moltres and Clara is already kind of a built-in engine by itself, so you already get that engine. Moltres is a dark attacker, so you get a good time into Mew and Gardevoir, and it does a lot of damage, too. It's almost like playing Radiant Charizard in that regard, where it just does so much damage in the late game, like Charizard does. And Nicholas also playing the Kyogre. Really interesting, opting for the Kyogre, the Moltres, and the Snorlax as his extra attackers, apart from the Sableye and the Cramorant. But I do like Nicholas's list, actually even playing double Manaphy. Playing Pokestop over Beach Court is also very interesting. In fact, his switching count is all awkward. He's got 4 Rope and 4 Switch card. And that's it. Not much else really for Switch. Again, no Beach Court is very, very interesting. And even playing 30 Energy Recyclers. So, interesting list. Again, Nicholas Moffat is a pretty good Lost Zone player. He's done really well Lost Zone in the past, and it's cool to see him do so well with this Moltres Kyogre build. The Moltres is really spicy. I like that a lot in Lost Box. Moltres is actually kind of cool right now in general. But yeah, really cool to see that. Another Guardy Mewtwo list here. Philip doing well with it. This list, not too different from the other one. This one does play 2 Gardevoir Shining Arcana. Then we got another Goodra list here doing pretty well. Again, Goodra, I thought was a pretty good meta call for EUIC. And this one is play the Temple of Sinnoh, the 2 Melanie, and the 4 Gate over the 3 Gate that we just saw with the other Goodra lists. And we got another Lugia deck here at 19th place, playing the 1/1 Dura. Again, Lugia might be playing Dura now because it counters Dura and also counters the Mirror. Though now that Dura won EUIC, I don't know if that's really good anymore because now Lugia is going to tech for Dura even harder. And of course, we got another Lost Box deck. This one being another turbo build. Not playing the Luminion again, but this one doesn't play the cross switchers or anything. It's a more streamlined turbo Lost Box deck that we've seen from the online tourney scene. We do have a Sammy here getting the highest placing Arctina deck. So Arctina is something that I hyped up into EUIC. I've been enjoying the deck a lot. Did well in the late night, but it didn't have like, I mean, it had an okay performance. I mean, still getting like top 32 is pretty cool, but not doing as well as I maybe could have thought it did, because it is one of the best decks that can abuse Judge and Path right now. But of course, Sammy was able to do pretty well with the deck, being able to get top 32 with Arceus Giratina. This list does not play the Flying Pikachu, so not utilizing that max balloon, but still playing the 2/2 Giratina. Instead, going more into the Tina lane. But again, being just an Arceus deck in general just means you're a little bit more tankier. The Charon's Care, the Palpad, the 4 Judge, just a lot more of an aggressive, tankier build of Arceus, Tina, instead of playing the Flying Pikachu, which I still think Pikachu is still worth playing in Arctina. Honestly, one thing about Arctina that I might want to recommend is, this might not be the greatest card ever since it does play Path, but I actually might want to squeeze in Hawlucha in Arctina now. With Hawlucha in the deck against Duraludon VMAX, you can actually go Choice Belt Hawlucha to one-hit KO Duraludon with Giratina. That's something that maybe Arctina could play going forward. I mean, you do play Path, so it does shut yourself off, but if they do play a Lost City and your Hawlucha gets to work, Hawlucha could be a really good tech card to play in Arctina going forward, as it does allow you to go one-shot a Duraludon with a Belt Giratina with Hawlucha, adding the extra damage. Got a couple more Goodra lists. You see Piper played it too. Of course, she is a pretty top-tier player. This Goodra list is very spicy, actually opting for the one of Mawile, trying to utilize that Mawile sneaky trap attack, or attempting whatever it's called, to trap your opponent, trap stuff that can't do anything, like Radiant Serena, Radiant Greninja, and Manaphy and stuff, and Luminion, just stuff that can't move. So that's really good. Like, Mawile is a pretty good meta call for EUIC, and then we see Piper doing well. Once again, Piper playing the Articuno Paralyze in the deck. Really smart inclusion. I think Articuno is a really strong tech card in Lost Zone right now. In general, not just in Goodra, but it could be a good card in Lost Zone in general. But yeah, Articuno and Goodra, really cool card. Really like it a lot. Definitely helped Piper probably quite a bit, because, I mean, hey, Piper to get top 32 with the Goodra deck. We got Andrew Martin here, once again, with the Mewtwo Gardevoir deck. Nothing crazy in this list either, playing a bit more heavier stadium count, playing the Collapsed and the Temples. Also playing the Gallade in the deck too, and that is pretty spicy to see. The Gallade having that buddy catch ability is really strong, especially when you're picking and choosing your supporters in the late game. Very helpful with Mewtwo, Roxanne in the later half of the game. We got Ryan here with another Mew deck. We do see this Mew deck is a bit more of a teched out Mew deck using the Dreepy. So what the Dreepy does is it has kind of the same effect of Mawile, where you're basically just trying to trap something in the active spot and preventing your opponent from being able to move their Pokemon. And with the Pidgeot, you can go Pidgeot with Dreepy and never deck out. So that's basically the concept behind playing the Dreepy in the Mew deck here. So that's a really, really cool inclusion. Again, this Mew Dreepy list was, I think, popularized by Xander Pero, and he did pretty well with it. I forget what tourney it was. It might have been Orlando. But yeah, no, the Dreepy, a really cool tech card. It's basically the same purpose of playing a Mawile, effectively. And then, of course, we can go over here. We got Robin Schultz, another very strong player. Of course, literally the person who made the website we are on right now. But he was playing the Tord list once again. So Tord and Robin, of course, kind of in that same testing group, playing basically the exact same deck. And yeah, really cool to see Guardy kind of get optimized here. And then, of course, we got another Arctina deck here. Now, this one does have a couple of things going on. We do, of course, see it plays Battle VIP Pass, which is super greedy, especially in a deck like Arceus, where you only have 4 Ultra Balls. So your ability to get rid of the Battle VIP is a little bit more limited. Even though you do play 4 Research for Ultra Ball, it's still risky because those can really clog up your hand. This list also doesn't play Squovit. In fact, it only plays a 1/1 with Barrow. It's a little bit more of a teched out build. You do see the Dunsparce in the deck. I do like the Dunsparce. Not a bad meta call. Then, of course, the Radiant Gardevoir, the Drapion in the deck. But yeah, it's Arctina with the Battle VIP. I kind of like Sammy's list a little bit more, but the Battle VIP can still pay off really well when you're just trying to build up your board, and it probably did pay off pretty well. I mean, of course, you know, Simon did get 27th place with it. And then we got another Mew deck here. We do see, again, it is the Mew Dreepy build. Again, trying to stall your opponent out with the Dreepy. We got Alessandro here. I'm pretty sure this is Icaterpie, if I remember correctly. But once again, playing the Gudra, not playing the Articuno this time, but also playing the double Temple of Sinnoh, which is cool to try to be a little bit more controlly against something like Lugia. But yeah, Gudra, really good meta call, I think, for EUIC, and it's not surprising that we see a couple Gudra decks here in the top 32. And then, of course, we got Jonathan here with the Lugia deck. This Lugia list is, of course, really cool. Just playing the more streamlined Lugia deck here without the Duraludon. Just kind of not trying to lose to much, but just also not using the Dura to try to not be, as good in the mirrors. Just trying to dodge the mirror that plays the Dura, I guess. But the deck does play one copy of Roxanne, so that's kind of cool. So yeah, just a bit more of a straightforward Lugia build. Not respecting the Dura as much. And then, of course, we got Sander getting top 32 with his crazy control deck here. Sander, of course, is one of the best control players. Like, at face value, look at his list, you're like, what the heck is this? Like, there's so many random cards in the deck, but Sander proving that he is a very good player, doing really well with the control deck. It's basically doing a ton of things. You got the Carbomidal for the mill, you got the Mawile, stall strategy, you got the Manaphy. So what Manaphy does, I think we can pull it up here by clicking on it. Your opponent reveals their hand, put up the 2 basic Pokemon you find there onto their bench. So essentially, you're forcing your opponent to play down awkward cards like Lumineon and Greninja and Serena and Manaphy. Just any card that can't do anything in the matchup, Manaphy can just slam down for free, and then you can trap them with Mawile a turn later if they don't have a way to get that Pokemon off the board. The Yveltal, obviously good against Lugia. The Regieleki to get trainers back. A Tutu Curly engine as the draw engine in the deck alongside Pikamiku and Radiant Greninja. And, of course, the Ditto Miltank. And the cool thing is the Ursaluna. The idea behind Ursaluna is that it is very, very bulky. It has an ability that makes it take 30 less damage. So on default, it's got 260 HP without a Path Beam in play. And then on top of that, you can also play Pod Helmet. Or not Pod Helmet. Well, can you do Pod Helmet? No, you can't do Pod Helmet. What am I saying? You can't do Pod Helmet on Ursaluna, but the Pod Helmet's in here for other things. I think there's V-Guard. Yes, that's what I was thinking of. Yes, V-Guard energy. V-Guard energy on Ursaluna that gives Ursaluna 290 HP on a basic Pokemon. Now, the relevant thing about that is it's hard to one-shot Ursaluna. So what you can play is you can play Penny to heal the Ursaluna and put it back in your hand. The other strategy this deck does is using Mimikyu V with Dummy Doll. So what you do is you play down Mimikyu V. When you place Pokemon from your hand on your bench during your turn, you may prevent all damage done to this Mimikyu V by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon until the end of their turn. So you play down Mimikyu, you promote the Mimikyu, and your opponent cannot do anything to Mimikyu. And then what you do is the following turn, you Penny the Mimikyu, and you play another Mimikyu, and you just basically loop Penny Mimikyu with Silene, Palpad, and Yell's Cheer, like over and over again, constantly looping the Mimikyu over and over again until they can't do anything because they're going to deck out first because you're infinitely looping your resources and they can't do anything against Mimikyu with its ability Dummy Doll. So really cool engine there. We'll have to see how this control deck does going forward. It's a really cool strategy. I would imagine it's harder to play because it doesn't really, there's nothing that stands out that's like, oh, how do you be Guardian with this? How do you be Lost Box with it? So that's like one thing that is very standard about this deck, but it is a very cool deck nonetheless. And Sander is a very good control player. No surprise that he played something a bit wackier because a lot of the control decks going into EUIC was the Snorlax control decks, and Sander didn't even play that. He played a different engine. We do see a Giratina deck here getting almost, yeah, it did get top 32. I thought Giratina was going to do really well. I think in my predictions video, I was like, oh, it can win the entire tournament, but it didn't. But we do see this really cool Giratina Lost Zone deck. Very straightforward list here of Lost Tina. I still think Lost Tina is a really good deck in general right now, and it could even be better. I think it has a better time, actually, into the Arc Vulpix deck. So we might even see Giratina do even better going forward, as I do think it has a good matchup against Dura. So definitely cool. We see Gustavo Wada and another Mew deck here. We got this Mew, once again, just double Turbo Mew. But we do see Gustavo Wada here, who I think did win last year's EUIC, getting top 64 with, again, the Turbo Lost Box deck. Yeah, nothing crazy going on, just Turbo Lost Box. Turbo Lost Box, which is what everyone thought was going to be the best way to play Lost Box, but not doing as well. We see a couple Lugia decks here. This Lugia list playing the Yveltal. Again, not respecting the Dura, it looks like. And then another Lugia list here. This one, once again, not respecting Dura. Playing the Articuno in the deck. Very spicy. Articuno allows you to discard 2 cards from your hand and then draw a card. So you try to draw cards and also, of course, use Articuno to discard Archeops from your hand. Just trying to maximize the turn 2 Archeops consistency with the Articuno. But with the double collapse, you can get it off the board. It is sketchy to play because, of course, Mawile and Dreepy can trap that. We see Vaughn here with the Lost Zone deck. Again, Turbo Lost Box once again. And then we see another Lost Box deck. This one is, again, Turbo Lost Box. So we've seen a lot of Turbo Lost Box decks do pretty well. We got Sack here playing the Mew deck, playing a bit more teched out. He's got the Serena, he's got the 3 Judge, the Penny in the deck. Sack's known to kind of play spicy tech cards in his deck. Now, Lost Zone deck, is it going to be Turbo? No, this one, well, it is Turbo. It's Turbo Lost Box with a Kyogre in the deck. So yeah, cool to see. Of course, we did see Nicholas Moffat with the Kyogre deck, so people are still kind of on that Kyogre dream, and I still think Kyogre is still pretty solid. It's a bit more harder to play, obviously, because you have to be a little bit more careful and with your resources, because you don't have as many cards to work with, like, you know, Scoopnet and stuff, and Rod, but Kyogre is still a very powerful card in general right now, and it's still worth playing, in my opinion, in Lost Box. There's still something to try out. We see Cal, who's, of course, on the Shovel Squad, doing pretty well with the Lugia deck here. Or, yeah, the Lugia deck. Again, not respecting the Dura. It does play the Penny, though. Trying to respect the Mawile Trap strategy. We got Jacob Kendrick here with Goodra. Once again, we see Goodra. This one does play the Zamazenta as a backup attacker. Again, really strong card. Also playing a Thorn in the deck and Sableye. So very teched out Goodra deck here. I kind of like this teched out build. Instead of going more straightforward with the Goodra or playing the Articuno, this one does have a few more options. Sableye and Goodra is honestly not even terrible. It does give you pretty good late game attacking potential, when that can be really good. Sableye catch a lot of people off guard. A lot of people sometimes don't expect Sableye to be in Goodra too, and that is one benefit of playing Sableye. And the Zam is also, again, really cool in the deck as another strong attacker. Even playing a Path, actually not even playing Beach Court, which is very fascinating. We see here another Lugia deck. This one, once again, not respecting the Dura, it looks like. We got another Lost Zone deck here. This one is the Lost Zone Kyogre deck. Playing the Zam as your other attacker beside the Kyogre and the Sableye and the Cram. Pretty cool stuff. Again, Zam's still a really strong card. Does a lot of damage, can knock out V Pokemon, can be hard to KO in return sometimes for some decks, and that's one of the benefits of playing the Zamazenta. So I like it. Kyogre and Zam, not a terrible combo at all. We do see we got another Giratina deck here doing well. Just, again, very straightforward Giratina. Actually optimizing 5 Psychic, so really going heavy on the Psychic energy here, which is interesting to see. But yeah, Giratina, again, I still like it. I think it's a good deck. Another Goodra. Connor Bird playing Goodra. Very straightforward Goodra list. Actually playing a lot of supporters. We see Colress, Melanie, Boss, Raihan, Roxanne, and a Serena. So very heavy supporter account there. Then we got Josh Frink, who again is on the Shuffle Squad, did play the same deck Alex Shemansky played. So yeah, because they're in the same testing group. We got another Guardy list here. This one playing the Klefki's in the deck, try to slow the opponent down. Klefki's still a pretty strong card. Again, it's good against Lost Box, good against Mew. Can slow the opponent down, and it kind of does help Guardy kind of fix that awkward Lost Box matchup where you do get the time to kind of build up your attackers. I do like the Klefki still in Guardy. I think it's still something that we're trying out. I mean, Klefki's still a good card right now, in my opinion. It's not as good as stuff like Arceus and stuff and Lugia, but still good in other matchups, and its value, I think, is still something to definitely toy around with, regardless. We do see a few more Lost Zone decks here. We see this one is playing the Moltres, not playing the Kyogre like Nicholas played, but still playing the Moltres. Again, Moltres in Lost Box is still good. It's something that Japan was playing, so I'm not surprised to see a couple Moltres decks do pretty well here at EUIC. And we got another Lost Zone deck here. This one is the Sableye Cramsar deck, similar to Pedro's list, playing the Defiance Band. Not playing the Pidgeot V or the Forest Seal Stone, though, however, which is one thing to take note of with that Lost Zone Engine deck. And of course, we got another Goodra list here. We got Julius playing the Goodra deck, playing the Articuno once again. Pretty common tech card we've seen here in the Goodra lists. We see Arctina here, once again. This one I like. It's got the Flying Pikachu. A bit more checked out. We see Flying Pikachu, we see Gardevoir, and we see Dunsparce. So really checking out. I'll even playing 2 Charon's Care. Playing a split of Path and Lost City is really good. We kind of saw that after EUIC. Lost City was a pretty good stadium for EUIC, so it's no surprise to see Lost City kind of do so well here. But yeah, I like the Flying Pikachu. Again, it does provide a little bit of support in the Arctina deck. It makes your Lost Zone matchup a little bit better. It can also improve your Lugia matchup quite a bit. And I think Pikachu is still worth playing in Arctina. It's just you don't get to play as much energy for Tina, which is the only problem with it. Sometimes it can get awkward. We see another Goodra here. Straightforward Goodra list, it looks like. See Grand Haze here with the Goodra deck again. Very straightforward. Let's play Crystal Cave. I like Crystal Cave a lot in Goodra. I think it's a pretty cool tech card. Got Ian Buck with the Mew deck. Double Turbo Mew, straightforward build. Playing the Oricorio. No techs like Dreepy or Aerodactyl or anything. What else do we got here? We got Jose Marrero with the Lugia deck. This time, we do see the respect for Dura and the Mirror. We see a double Dura, so just kind of playing 2 of them is kind of insane, having 2 Duras. But Dura can still be a good attacker in general, so it is cool to see the Lugia deck play the Dura. Not playing any Mezagoza, playing 3 Tower of Darkness, but I guess with the heavier count of the single strikes with the Duras, it does allow you to have a little bit more draw. A little bit more greedier, too. We see the 3-2 Lugia line instead of the 4-3 line. Very interesting. Another Mewtwo Guardy list here, really cool stuff. This one does play the Klefki to slow the opponent down, so a bit more of a slow controller build of the deck, but the Klefki is definitely a smart inclusion in Mewtwo. I've seen some lists play the Klefki over not playing Klefki. I don't know if the Klefki's is good in the Mewtwo deck. I think it's decent in the guard, like the straight Guardy list. Not as much in the Mewtwo, but it worked out pretty well, of course. Regardless, for Frank here. See another Goodra list here, another straightforward Goodra deck. I'm going to try to skim through some of these lists here because we've seen some of the lists are kind of the same as others. Now, this one is cool, and this is a Lugia deck playing the single strike Urshifu. I think the logic behind this is, one, you get the kind of the wall breaker with Urshifu, so you can attack Duraludon, and you get the 1 KO option against Goodra V-Star. That is, I think, the logic behind playing the single strike Urshi, is it does help your Goodra matchup a little bit more because you can just one-shot the Goodra with Urshifu and then earn the energy back and then attack again, taking out 2 Goodras effectively with Urshifu. I do respect that a lot. I think the single strike Urshi is definitely worth playing in Lugia. Definitely something that could be a thing going forward. I like it a lot. It's a really cool inclusion. Even playing the Thornton in the deck too. So yeah, I really like the Urshifu in the Lugia deck. It's a very smart inclusion for sure. Again, it might help Lugia. It just helps break walls. And it also works against Duraludon, which is another benefit of playing the single strike Urshifu. We got another Goodra list here. We saw Mahone doing pretty well. Congrats to Mahone getting top 64 with the Goodra. Another Mew deck here playing the Dura. Once again, not the Urshi. We'll see how many Urshi lists we see. That was the highest place in Urshi list we've seen so far. Straight Lugia here, not respecting the Dura, it looks like. Another Lost Zone deck here. Now this one, again, Radiant, yeah, okay, this is the same list as like Pedro, basically, with the Pidgeot, the Miltank, and the thing. Cool. All right. Another Guardy list here. Anything crazy in this? Oh, yeah, we see a Drifloon. Yeah, there you go. That's the technology right there. And a Cheryl, so pretty cool heal build of Guardy. I really like that. Cheryl and Drifloon and Guardy is a really cool inclusion. Cheryl can come in handy in a lot of scenarios where you want to heal your stuff, and heal around Sableye is also pretty clever. Drifloon can do a lot of damage, by the way, with all the damage on it. I've done a video on Drifloon on the main channel. Definitely go watch that if you want to see kind of Drifloon in action. But yeah, I really like the idea of Drifloon, even playing a Thorn in the deck, so very spicy Guardy list. I rated. And it worked out pretty well for them. We got 2 more Goodras here. We got a straightforward Goodra list. Another straightforward Goodra list, right? Yeah, another straight Goodra list here. Looks like. We got another Miraidon deck, and this one does play the Klefki's over playing the Turbo build that we saw got top 8. Also playing a Cleansing Gloves in the deck to do more damage. Playing a Belt too on top of that, so a lot of damage mods. But yeah, really cool to see Miraidon even playing the Collapse Stadium, which is a pretty smart inclusion. Even the Pogo Zapdos in the deck to even do even more damage with Miraidon. But yeah, Klefki's kind of smart. Again, it does help your Lost Box matchup because you go Regieleki V, hit hard, going to Klefki over and over again with the Beach Court. You do get that free retreat pivot for the Klefki. So we'll have to see how Klefki does going forward. And then we got another Giratina list playing at the one of Snorlax here too. We got another Lost Box deck. This one, ooh, now this is spicy. It is a Lost Box deck. It's Sableye Cramsard, but not really because it's still kind of a Mirage Gate build, right? So you got the Delphox V, which is basically Amazement Raikou doing the 120-120 snipe, and you got the Zapdos Skysteel package. I really like this. You don't play Greninja, you play the Charizard. And kind of my thought process is, I'm not sure you need Charizard in the Delphox deck. Yes, you get to play the Fire, so it's like by default, you're like, oh, I'm going to put Charizard in the deck. I actually don't know if you need the Charizard in the Delphox, because it's like, I don't know, you might as well still play Greninja, but it worked out. Obviously, this person did do well at EUIC with Delphox. Getting day 2 with it is really cool. I think Delphox is honestly worth tempting. That didn't make any sense. Worth trying out in Lost Box. Because again, it's amazing that Raikou literally has the exact same attack as Raikou. So it's still worth maybe experimenting with Delphox. I'm not sold on the Charizard. I don't know. I still feel like Greninja would be good, but hey, it worked out for them anyways. Another Lugia deck here. Again, not respecting the Dura. What else we got here? We got Mew. We got Nathan here doing pretty well with Mew. Meloetta Mew, actually, interesting. And even playing the Deoxys and a Crystal Cave. Crystal Cave is really smart, actually. It's one of those cards where it's like a lot of the time in Lost Box playing against Mew, they're like, oh, I Drapion on you, but then I could just kill your Genesect with Sableye and stuff. But then they drop a Crystal Cave and they mess up the math, and that gives them tempo to win a game sometimes. That's really smart, actually. Crystal Cave is something that I'm surprised Mew has played before. I really like the idea of Cave in Mew. This Goodra list, again, playing at the Mawile tech card in there. Seen some of the Goodra lists playing those one-of techs like the Articuno, the Mawile, the Zam, the Sableye. See another Turbo Lost Box deck here. Got another Mew deck. Straightforward Mew. Another Mewtwo Guardy list here. Yeah, pretty straightforward stuff. Another Mewtwo Guardy list playing the Champions Festival in the deck. Got the Mewtwo, the Manaphy. Yeah, pretty good stuff. I rate it. More Lugia action. We got Lugia with a Pinsir. Hold on, what does this do? Damage from your single strike Pokemon is affected by resistance. I don't know if that matters. The big thing is it's a 1 prize attacker with Seismic Toss. Is there ever a reason to play this Pinsir? What would the pincer be good for? Oh, you know what? Maybe it's good in the mirror, right? Because it can knock out Tyranitar. Because it's a grass Pokemon. Okay, that must be why the pincer's in the deck. Because it beats T-Tar. Okay. I respect it. Yeah, it beats T-Tar. Right? T-Tar's beats grass. Okay. That's cool. That's cool. Technology. We like technology. That was what we just looked at, right? Nope. Now, this one's got Drapion and the Duraludon, so respecting the Dura and the Mew matchup a little bit harder. Interesting. I mean, Drapion still is really good. And, of course, we got Natalie Miller here. She was playing the Turbo Lost Box deck, it looks like. Yes, Turbo Lost Box. Got Josh Fernando. He had a really hot start day 1 at EUIC. I think he went like 8-1 in day 2. The 1-1 Dura, again, respecting the mirror, which is kind of cool. We got another Tina Lost Box deck. This one does play the Tropius. The Tropius does, of course, attack and hit T-Tar for weakness, and it's another, like, one-prize attacker that can do damage. It's mainly, I think, there for T-Tar, though, is, like, the big reason. 2 Temple Sinnoh, so really teching heavy for that Lugia matchup, it looks like. Speaking of Lugia, we got another Lugia list here. Playing the Articuno and the Dura, actually playing a 2-1 Dura line. Very interesting. It makes sense, so you know, if the Dura gets bossed, you know, you don't want to lose it. Another Guardy list here. This one does play the Hatterene Klefki, so it's a hit and run build. And I do like the Hatterene and Guardy. We did show off the Hatterene Shadow Rider deck, but Hatterene and Guardy is really cute too against Lost Box. You just kind of hit and run into Klefki over and over again. I still really like that engine quite a bit. And due to Gardevoir's ability, you can always just retreat Klefki without really needing a switching card because of Gardevoir's ability, right? So really cool inclusion. I like Hatterene and Gardevoir. You can even play the VMAX too if you really wanted to. Then we got Turbo Lost Box again here. Lots of Turbo Lost Box. I think we've seen like one Sky Seal Stone deck or something for Lost Box, which is kind of insane. All right, where were we here? I think we were right here, right? All right, dude, we got another Radiant Charizard Lost Box deck. No Lugia deck here. Not respecting Dura. No technology. Another Lost Box deck. Ooh, okay, this is cool. We got Sableye Cramsard with a 1 of Entei. I like that. Entei's cool. Again, the dogs are pretty strong attackers. While Entei doesn't hit for weakness like Raikou would have, it's pretty good. It's also tanky. 230 HP is actually a lot of health, too. Sure thing with the Entei. Cool, cool. We got another Lugia deck here. This one does, of course, play the 1-1 Dura. So yeah, Dura's looking pretty spicy. I actually think Dura might be optimal in Lugia going forward, too. It also helps against Dura, or you play the Urshifu, one of the two. Urshifu might actually be better in the mirror when they play the Dura, so maybe the Urshifu engine is actually better now. Could be, actually. Another Mew deck here, of course. And a Lost Zone Tina list. This one does play a bit more teched out build. Again, the Snorlax and the Tropius for the matchup. And then we got Azul here with the Lost Box. He was playing Radiant Charizard. Sableye Cram, yeah. With the teched out Pidgeot and the Mawile. We got another Lugia here. This one, again, straightforward Lugia, not respecting the Dura. Not respecting the Dura. We got another Mew. 100th place. So we're getting below everything now. We got Cameron here with the Guardy list. Gardevoir, Hatterene, Klefki. Again, really enjoying the idea of playing Klefki and Hatterene and Guardy. It's not a bad idea. Another Lugia. Playing Radiant Jirachi. I don't hate it. Radiant Jirachi and Lugia is honestly not even terrible. You can potentially get some weird cheesy KOs. You get to set up if they KO it. I mean, Jirachi guarantees you double Archeops Ultra Ball. You know what I mean? So why not play it? Not a terrible idea at all. Gudra. Nothing crazy in that list. We got Lugia playing the Urshifu. Again, really spicy. And that could be optimal going forward. Again, with the rise of Duraludon, especially if Lugia is going to play Duraludon too, the Urshifu could be optimal in Lugia going forward, honestly. We got Kieran, good friend of mine here, playing the Lugia list. Very straightforward build. 4-4 Lugia, straight consistency, but not respecting the Dura. That's the big thing. Got, looks like a control deck here. This is another control deck. This one is the Snorlax stall control deck. Again, using the Manaphy to pull stuff in and then trap it with Snorlax. Yeah, Snorlax control, I'm surprised, honestly, didn't have a better showing at EUIC. I think it's still a really good deck, right? I know Sanders' control deck might now be kind of the one that everyone wants to play, but I still really like the idea of Snorlax control. But I guess maybe it's too much penny. I don't know. It's interesting. We got another Tina list here. Again, playing the Tropius. We got another Tina list playing the Tropius once again. Very cool tech card in Tina. We got another Lugia list here. Not respecting the Dura. We got 4 Lugia decks in a row. Jeez Louise. All right, another one that does play Drapion, Tyranitar, trying to respect Mew a little bit more. Got another Lugia list here. And then, of course, we got another Lugia list here. All those Lugia lists we just looked at do not respect the Dura. They don't respect the technology. We got Mewtwo here, Mewtwo Guardy. Pretty straightforward Mewtwo Guardy list, it looks like. Alrighty then. We got another Arctina deck here. This one does not play the Pikachu. Again, playing the Bibarel and the Squovit. Playing the Double Lost City. And actually only one Path of Peak, but also playing a Roxanne. So I like it. I rate it. Again, straightforward Tina list. Definitely looks good. Another Gudra here. That's pretty cool. We got Michael Pramawat here playing the double Turbo Mew deck. Pretty solid deck, obviously. Then we got another Lost Box deck. This one is the Skyseal Stone build. Again, still a decent archetype, having the variety of attackers. Even playing the Dragonite, which some of the Zapdos Raikou builds didn't play, but they're like, nah, we're going to play it. Now, Lugia. Not respecting the Dura. I'm trying to see if there's any other spicy techs. We've seen Pinsir, Urshifu, and Dura in Lugia. And that's all we've seen so far for, like, cool tech cards. Now, there's another really cool deck coming up. I'm going to show you in a minute. You might be looking at it here. Another Gudra. This one does play the Zam. Actually, a 2-2 Gudra line. And a Skyseal Stone. I respect it. I respect it. I mean, Skyseal Stone's not bad, you know. The big one here, Magnus Pearson played a really cool Empoleon control. I don't even know if it's in a control deck. It's more like, I guess it is kind of an Empoleon control deck. So basically, it is Empoleon Urshifu. So Urshifu, obviously really strong attacker. Empoleon, really good at shutting stuff down, and even playing the Scroll, which allows you to spread 30 damage. And with Empoleon the active, Manaphy is not an effect. I am working on doing a video on that, yes. And there is a 1-1 Dura on the list, even playing Fighting in Metal Energy, trying to get that, like, auto win against Lugia. And there's a Carnivine, which does trap your opponent's Pokemon. Really cool stuff. I don't know if there's a way for Carnivine to not take a prize list. You can go Alakazam Carnivine and constantly take 2 damage off, which I guess makes sense, but you still probably will eventually KO them. So I'm not, like, sold on that, I guess, but it is cool to see the Carnivine in general. But yeah, this is a really cool deck. This is a very, very crazy deck. Obviously, 120th place. Could have maybe done better, obviously, if it had the better matchup spread. But again, I think it's a really cool idea. And I'm really excited to see this really unique Rapid Strike deck do well. It's really, really cool. We got another Giratina list, of course. Another Guardy. This one does play the Klefki, but not playing the Hatterene. Another Lost Zone deck. This one, of course, Turbo Lost Box. With Skyseal Stone, too. Okay, okay. Alright, rated, I rated. Wait, did I not play any Raikou? Is this Dragonite? Okay, I was blind. Alright, I didn't see the Raikou or Drapion for a second. I was like, wait, no way. More Lugia. Yeah, more Lugia. Alright. I guess we'll, actually, instead of clicking on it, yeah. It's all just Lugia decks without really the respect for the Dura. Yeah, just like Lugia with Yveltal and stuff. And yeah, this one does play the Dura. We see the Dura in this Lugia list. Okay, okay. Another Gudra. Just straightforward Gudra. Alrighty then. We got more Lugia action here. Again, not respecting the Dura. This Lugia list not respecting the Dura. We got the Lost Box deck. It looks like... Ooh. Okay, yeah. Skyseal Lost Box. Another Skyseal Lost Box deck. Alright, cool. More Mews. You see it is a Fusion Mew. And then this one here. Another Fusion Mew. So 2 Fusion Mews back-to-back. Interesting. Another Miraidon deck here. Playing the 1-1 Magnezone. Again, very good against Lost Box. You can use the Magnezone V to KO Manaphy, and then you go V-Star. It's also good against Gardevoir, too, where if they don't play Manaphy down, you can Electro Star and knock out the 2 Curlies or 2 Rulls, which is very crippling, actually. So, really cool idea to play that Magnezone. I wonder if Magnezone Lost City would be good. We got Colton Day here with the Lugia deck playing the Dura technology. We got another Gudra here, of course. More Lugia. Straightforward Lugia. Yeah, straightforward Lugia again. Okay. Another Guardy Mewtwo deck here. Another straightforward Guardy Mewtwo list, it looks like. Alrighty then. Cool, cool. More Lost Box. This one, of course, looks like it's Turbo Lost Box. And then this one is also Skyseal Stone Lost Box. Alright, there's another Skyseal Lost Box deck there. Another Miraidon deck. Playing the Magnezone once again. I rate it. I like it. I like it. No Lugia. Not respecting the Dura. No technology. Got the Guardy with the Klefkeys, not playing the Hatterene, it looks like. And then we got another Lost Box deck here. This one, ooh, this one's different. We see double Zamazenta and Pokestop, so kind of going in on the Zam there. Really smart idea. Again, Zam, still really strong card in general, right? Pretty cool to see that. That's cool, that's cool. And then we got another Lugia, not respecting the Dura. Another Gudra, no technology, no Articuno, no Mawile. No Lugia, once again, not respecting Dura, it looks like. Another Mew. Fusion Mew. We see another Rapid Strike deck here, which is kind of cool. Again, playing the Drapion, much like the other list we just looked at earlier. So really cool to see. I like it. And maybe the Drapion is maybe what fixes the Rapid Strike deck. We do see a really cool deck. We see a Miraidon Flaffy deck. Now, this one's interesting. So this one does play a 1/1 Flying Pikachu and a Pogo Zapdos and triple Raichu, not even playing the Raikou V. Very interesting list. Now, I think, in my opinion, with Flaffy, I really like the idea of maybe playing the Flaffy with the double or triple Beach Court, because Beach Court is really good with Flaffy, as you do get that like free pivot in, and you also get the ability to have a counter stadium. So if I were to play Flaffy Box, which I actually really like, I would probably have played like at least 2 or 3 Beach Court over the mountain, but, you know, did well, got day 2 with it. You can't knock it. We got more Mew, got Fusion Mew, and we got more Fusion Mew. And we got Arc Pika again, the Arc Pika Vulpix deck here once again. This one actually playing Quad Adventures Discovery. I mean, you do play a lot of these. That makes sense. Playing 3 Judge, 2 Research, 3 Boss, and an Arvin and a Ryan. Interesting. The Adventures Discovery is very interesting. Then we got more Giratina with the Tropius. Another Arctina list here, not playing the Pikachu, playing a Vacuum in 3 Path. So not going all in on the Path. So that's interesting. Then finally, we got a Mew to round out the day 2. But there you go. Those are all the day 2 lists. Again, there was a lot that we looked at. There's a lot of really cool day 2 lists, though. A lot of technology being used in a lot of those day 2 decks. That'll be, for me, pretty long video. Again, I wanted to try to make this a bit shorter than it could have been, because if we really looked at all the lists, we would have been here for like an hour. But there you go. That is day 2 at EUIC. Very relevant data to look at here, because we get to see what decks could be good going forward, going into the next big tournament, and what the meta will look like going forward. But there you go. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like. Let me know what you thought of some of these decks. What was your favorite deck we looked at down below? I'd be very interested to hear. There's a lot of really spicy stuff and all that good stuff. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.